Casting a Spell, produced and directed by Reverend Dr. Joe Mullen. In this video, Dr. Mullen will discuss casting spells and will give an example of making a sweetness jar, which is a positive spell in order to reach some kind of goal that one is setting. She will further explain this and other associated ideas now in the video.
This is Dickie Joe in Orlando, Florida, with some thoughts about casting a spell. As an astrologer and paranormal investigator, one of the most popular questions people ask me very quietly was if they have any evil influences around them, if anyone is trying to hurt them or harm them. I've been around too long to discount that completely, but I do believe we can do reverse spells or good luck symbols and good luck rituals to counteract that possibility. This is rooted in the idea of Appalachian and swamp magic, the conjure man or conjure woman, the medicine man or medicine woman, the voodoo practitioner, part of our heritage going way back. And this special ritual, I know for a fact, works just beautifully, and it's very, very easy to do. It's called making a sweetness jar. And if you want to sweeten a situation, improve it, it's the thing to do. You need a few easy to find things. This type of magic, because it's mostly what people have, relates to things you probably have in your kitchen. So you don't have to go out roaming the planet to find unusual plants or different objects of the Holy Grail. All you need is a jelly jar with a screw top to start. And then the jelly jar is filled with something sweet. I have light corn syrup I put in here, but it would be possible to use honey, strawberry syrup, chocolate syrup, a combination of things, but it should be something sweet. Even sugar water, which makes simple syrup, put together and heated, will work. And put a goodly amount of that. The jar should be at least half filled. And then it's important to figure out what you want to sweeten. And it can be to sweeten a relationship. I'm very against putting spells on a particular person, but you can wish to sweeten, say, your work situation or work environment, neighbors or neighborhood, just to improve a difficult situation or position in your life, an experience like maybe health or other situations, sweeten a journey, leaving on, say, a long trip, commuter travel, sweeten finding a new car, a new home, any situation you want to improve. And then take some brown paper. This is just a typical brown paper bag like you might get at the grocery store. And you can't use a scissors or blade to cut it. The old teachings say, and I think it's good to play by the rules, to tear it into something that is approximately this size to write a circle on. So this is, maybe about 6 inches or so on each side, but don't make it really precise by cutting it with the scissors or harsh corners, because that's supposed to trap the energy. And then you have to use a pencil, and in a circle, write the wish that you have all and all around without lifting the pencil from the paper or having any breaks. This is a wish for perfect health, which is, and then the entire paper can be filled, and you can go back and forth so it can't be read by anyone that might find it. I just began this, and I'm going to be working on it further before actually completing my own sweetness jar later. But you would try to fill as much of the circle with the same thing, and this, I now have perfect health mentally and physically, over and over and over written. Finally, when that's covered, concentrate, fold the paper up, and just put it inside the sweetness jar. I'll be making another demonstration later, but just for demonstration purposes, seal the jar up. You can say a favorite prayer. If you want to say the Lord's Prayer, or a simple affirmation like, out of this situation only good will come, all is well, I am safe. Some practitioners will just keep the sweetness jar inside the home, put it way back on a shelf until the situation is resolved. If you want to bury it eventually, you can, or just leave it there indefinitely. If you want it's something to keep close to you, bury the sweetness jar in your backyard. If you want to attract something toward you, place it under or near the step to the front door. If you want to destroy its influence, burn the whole jar, throw it into fire. If you want to move it away, throw it into running water. If you want to disperse it to a distance, throw it into a crossroads. If you want to fix its influence, enter it into a 5-star pattern, a pentagram or 5-pointed star, placing the sweetness jar in the middle. If you want it to work by means of spirits, bury it in a graveyard, and the entities that are always active within a graveyard will help. If you want to hide its point of origin, hide it in a tree. If you want it to work in secret, hide it near food or drink. If you want it to work by stealth, hide it inside clothing or on an object, like maybe on a corner of a shelf. If you want its influence to begin or strengthen, throw it east. If you want something you want to have end or weaken, throw it west. For example, for this health sweetness jar, I think I may throw it to the east when it's finished. If you want its influence to rise and fall, to be cyclical, put it near a place where the tide rises and falls, like at the edge of the sea. This is a part of the hedge witch tradition, again, from the rural South, conjure man, conjure woman teachings. Another very, very good object to have is a candle. A candle is easy to use, common. The color of the candle, dedicating a candle. Candles are used in religious ceremonies, birthday candles to light in a new year, and holidays. It's possible to charge a candle with energy. Just with the power of thought is extremely good. Stroking some oil of an appropriate type on the candle is good. Just plain olive oil or vegetable oil is good. But if you have sandalwood oil, that's particularly spiritual. If you happen to have lavender oil, that represents sweetness, friendship, and joy. Rose oil is very sacred and secretive, as in sub rosa, which means under the rose. The Rosicrucians, a mystery school. So rose oil for discretion. Colors of the candle can add to the ceremony. A white candle is always safe to use. Black is good to end something, it's not evil. Brown for stabilizing, quieting a situation. Green or silver or gold candles, shiny ones, would be good for prosperity. Red for energy or to get the upper hand in an argument. Yellow for the intellect. I tell everybody I only managed to graduate from school because I had yellow candles burning the whole 8 years it took me to finish my degree. Also, you can use purple to attract the spirit world. If you want to connect with the loved one or a spirit entity, a purple candle That color on that end of the visible light spectrum is related to spirituality. Bright yellow, besides stimulating the mind, sometimes classrooms are painted bright yellow for that reason, will also send a spirit entity further away. If you have a restless or earthbound spirit, you would like to suggest that they go to the light. Doing rescue mediumship or getting rid of an entity attachment, bright electric yellow is the color to use. So just by using some sweetness, some paper, some colors, some candles, it's possible to easily live the magical life. New moons and full moons are particularly good times to experiment with this type of folk magic or conjure magic. Another good idea is not to talk about it a lot. When we talk about something, it can dissipate the power. It's kind of like jerking a seed out of the ground before it's ready to blossom. So be quiet about your sweetness jar. That's why I decided to make a different one rather than the one I'm sharing with you. But it will work very easily. It's easy to do, easy to use. It's also enjoyable. There's something kind of uplifting about doing something about a difficult situation. If you want to find, say, a better job, don't do the ritual for a particular job. There might be a better one. Instead, word your question like, the perfect job comes to me now. The perfect job comes to me now. Repeat that over and over, again remembering to write it in a circle on a torn piece of paper that's baroque or kind of amoebic in shape, that it doesn't have all these square ends. This wouldn't work as it is. It would have to be torn. If you're looking for the ideal car, don't say, I want to find a Tesla at a good bargain. I want a red Tesla, whatever you want to say. I want to find the perfect car for me now. And try that. Try wording it. Be very careful about what you do with the wording, because you might get the wrong car, the wrong job. In doing this type of work, clarity is extremely, extremely important. And again, don't be surprised when it works, because it probably will. And this is Dickie Jo Mullen wishing you good magic and happy conjuring from Orlando, Florida.